This is my Dina Wakley multi-surface journal. This is one of the, I guess you call it the 8.5 by 11 size. Now I've opened it up at double page spread on the white kind of cotton pages. I'm going to do a background to start off with on this double page spread, but instead of using a brush, I'm just going to use an old banker's card. This one expired in 2013 and I just keep it now for adding paints and scrapes and that kind of stuff into the background of my art journals or for making lines and stuff. So the colours that I've picked out to use today, I've got some kind of earthy tones. I've got burnt sienna, terracotta and yellow ochre from the Reeves range of acrylic paints. But I've also pulled out of my collection, I've got the olive from Dina Wakley Media, I've got turquoise, and I've also got peacock, which I'm going to be adding some highlights with and a little bit of detail. I'm also going to be using some, if I can find it, because I should have got this out earlier, penny, which is the copper, because this is going to be, obviously, a steampunk theme page. So, to begin with, I need my little plastic palette, which I'm just going to stick underneath my page there. And this is where I'm just going to deposit some bits of paint. So it's going to be a gradual build-up of layers of paint on this page. So I'm going to just grab some of the paint on the edge of the credit card. It doesn't matter with this one whether it gets smeary and goes over, because that's going to be the whole kind of point of building up the background for this art journal page. So I'm starting off with the darkest colour first. And I'm going to just apply the paint. I haven't gessoed the pages, because I'm just going to be adding the paint in this way. So I don't really need it to spread or be easily spreadable, if you get my meaning. I'm not bothered about big blocks of colour like that. Like I said, this is going to be a gradual build-up of colour and texture using all those colours that I showed you at the beginning. So I am conscious that this possibly will take quite a bit of time to achieve to the kind of level and depth that I want. So what I will do is I will put the video on fast forward for you and play you some appropriate style music to a steampunk page, but as I'm changing over and swapping colours, I will hold them up to the camera so you can see which one I'm using and how. So let's get cracking. Okay, so that's the yellow ochre, the terracotta and the burnt sienna. So I've put those on all while the paint was still wet, so there's a little bit of blending going in there. I'm done with the paint at the side now, so I'm going to dry this off and then I can start adding some of the other colours that I want into the background. Okay, so now those three colours are all dry. I've got the Dina Wakley Media Olive, so I hope you can see that. And I'm just going to take a little bit of that, put some just down on my map, which I've also cleaned off. And this time, just using my finger, I'm going to just blend that colour into the areas where I've got a lot of the white still. So I'm not using a lot of the paint. So that's going to knock back a lot of that white. So once I've done all that, and I've got rid of all the white, I'm going to come back and add some white. I know, it sounds ridiculous, but that's exactly what I want to do. So I'm removing the white, or the majority of the white, from the background, because I want to bring some of the white into the foreground. I know, I'm doing things backwards, as they say. So this is going to take me a few minutes. So I shall put some more music on and you can watch me swirling my finger around the page for a bit. Okay, so I've gone round and removed, actually I could probably do with just putting a little bit more down there at the bottom. So I'll just do that last bit there, just in the crease. There we go, that's better. So just removed most of that white. So that the entire of the background, or the majority, 90% of the background, has actually got colour in there now. So we've got the umber, the terracotta, the ochre, and now that olive in there. I'll just remove that from the top. Put the olive away now, for now anyway. And then I'm going to bring in some bubble wrap and some white paint. So I'm going to now start breaking that background up again using the bubble wrap. So I've got a little bit of a brush. So I'm just going to paint the bubble wrap, and then I'm going to just start laying it over the top. That's going to break up the background a little bit. And then I have another piece over here. And I'm going to do this 5 times, always working odd numbers because it looks better. It's just like gardening. Always looks better with odd numbers. Just seems a little bit more natural than ordered, structured rows. I'm going to do that one right down at the bottom there. And then I'm just going to extend this one so it's a larger piece there. And maybe just do a bit of secondary ghosting at the bottom there. Carry that one up there. And then just a little bit there, and then another bit there. Just secondary ghosting, just use up what paint was left on the brush. Right, So I've stopped myself from using that now because I've just dropped it in the water, which means I won't be able to use it again. There we go. Perfect. So I need to get that dried off as per. Just clear that spot up. That way I'm not going to get my elbow in it. And then I'll be back and we'll add some more colour. Okay, so now I want to start bringing in some of the blue. So this is the Dina Wakley Media turquoise. So I'm going to add a little bit. I've not got much left of this, I think. No. And then bring back in that old debit card that we used earlier on. So this time I'm now going to just add in some turquoisey blue kind of lines. Don't want to do too many. So we use the turquoise as a kind of accent colour. Adds a little bit of structure to the page. We like structure. Try and get it so it goes across the page as well. That helps with like a continuation. Just like that. Okay, so done with that. So done with that, I can go. Okay, so once again, just need to get dried off. And I'll be back. Okay, so I want to add a little bit of stenciling now into the background. So again, I'm going to grab some of that white, just add a little bit onto my craft mat. I've got a piece of artist sponge. Now, I'm only going to do this lightly. So I've got the Diane Reevely text stencil. I can't remember what it's called. I'll put it on screen because I can't actually remember what it's called, and I'm only doing this kind of lightly just so I've got a kind of a hint, if you like, of text going off in the background. See, just a hint, which is all that I need. Just to kind of give it a graphical element to it. That's perfect. That's all I want for that one. Okay, so the next is I want to start introducing some steampunky kind of effects to it, because so far I've only used kind of like steampunky colours, not really used any kind of steampunky icons just yet. So I've got Cogs and Gears stencil from Indigo Blue, and I'm just going to use another piece of sponge, and I'm going to just add. So this is, sorry, the Dina Wakley penny. So this is copper paint. So I can now just start adding in a few kind of hints of steampunkiness just over the top. just to add a little bit of metallic. You can just see it up there in the corner. So I'm also going to add some just over here. So this will be what you see when it catches the light. I'm just pouncing slightly, up and down. I'm not pushing real hard. I'm trying to avoid using that big cog. There we go. That should do me up there. So you can see just that shimmer coming through now, and I'll add a couple more just down here at the bottom. I may actually try and take it across the page. Let's see, can we try and do it across the page there on the bottom? Yeah, I think we can. Just push and hold it down. It'll probably lose it a little bit across the crease, but that's okay. It's pretty much doing what I wanted, and then we'll just bring that across this side. Down to the bottom, and we can include those little shapes just there. Excellent. So we've now got some steampunky elements down there across the top, across each of the corners, so we've got that nice kind of visual triangle drawing your eye around the page, especially with those text elements there just kind of in the background of those elements as well. So that does kind of help to gel it all together. So once again, I'll just get it all dry, and I'll be back to add my focal point. Okay, so next up I've printed off on my computer an old map of Europe. And what I want to do is I've just pulled out a couple of circle punches. I've got 1 3/8 and a 1 inch. So what I want to do is I want to just punch out, he says, hopefully not destroying it. Obviously my circle punch is a bit grabby today. There we go, that's better. So 2 of those, and I'm going to grab a couple of 1 inch. So let's have 3 of those. Actually, let's see if I can get 3 of those, and I might just be able to squeeze out 1 more from there. That'll do. Need sharpening to get the tin foil out. Right, so I've got 3 circles of maps there and 3 circles of maps there. I printed these on sticker paper, I don't know that I mentioned that, so I'm just going to position those just around the page in the background, just as kind of floating kind of graphical elements. That one down here, and then the smaller ones, he says, so obviously punched between the cracks. This may take a while, folks. Right, I'll come back when I've got the backs off, because there's nothing more frustrating than watching somebody try and get a back off. Oh, annoying. Probably right between, oh, that one's done. that one up there. So I'm going to accompany these so that they're not like floating on their own. They will actually be kind of accompanied, and I'm overlapping the cogs as well. And this one, I should be able to peel that off just by pinching that end. Yes, there we go. Didn't need to fast forward at all, did I? And I'm going to do that one so it's down there. So we've got those little map elements to the background of the page. And now I'm going to bring in my focal point, which I've already printed onto some of that sticker paper. Just get rid of that bit there. I've collaged this up from a kit that I got from It which I've mentioned before. I did with my Halloween series last year. But I'll put a link on screen here and also in the description area below to her Digi collections. Now this was just a couple of bits from the steampunk sheets that she sells on her Digi Collage Etsy site. So I mean, I've just put these together in my way. This part here is one, that with a little propeller hat is a different image. The dragonfly wings are a different image altogether, and the clock here is also a different image as well, and I've just combined them all together. So I've got my phrase that I've also printed off, so I need to cut this out now, ready to stick down onto my page, and then I will be right back once I've cut that out. Okay, so I've cut it out. Now even I couldn't manage to cut the propellers out from the top of the hat. Beyond my skill, completely and utterly beyond my skill. I also moved down these two dots here because this is acrylic paint. Obviously it's like plastic, so you're able to peel those off and just move them slightly to position them so that when I stick this down I can stick that there. So that's going to frame that bit. I have gone around the edges with a distress marker, vintage photo distress marker, so I just now need to very, very carefully peel the back off my sticker sheet. And now I can stick my image where I want it, which is just about there. And then just smooth it out. Just like that. Right. Okay, so that's down. Obviously, I'm going to add a little bit of shading and some scribbles around those circles. But before we do that, I need to cut out and add my quote, which is going to go at the other side of the page. So I'll just quickly trim that out. And I'm not being too careful about getting these exactly straight either. Don't mind if they're a wee bit wonky. Sometimes wonky is good. And that sounds like I've just had a visitor arrive. So I will probably just have to stop doing this for a little while. But for you, I'll be back in next to no time. Okay, so it's actually the next day. My visitor stayed for a good couple of hours yesterday, so I never got a chance to sit back down and finish the page off. So I'm going to do that now. Right, so you saw me cut those bits out, so I'm just going to finish trimming off just that little bit, just to kind of get it a little bit straighter, but not too much. I'm not all that too bothered about it not being perfectly straight. Wonky is good in a page like this. So, right, so sometimes you just have to do things your own way. Oh, and the ping of a text message, lovely. Probably could have squeezed all of this onto one single page, but I wanted to do a double page spread. I fancied doing a double page spread on this one. The intensity of the background is quite good on this one. I love it. Love the background. Okay, so I've got those stuck down. So what I want to do is now obviously just introduce some shading around the boxes and also around the main focal point. So all I'm going to do is just, this is a charcoal pencil. It's a standard Derwent charcoal pencil. I'm just going to add some shading. Somebody's desperate to get hold of me, aren't they? That tingy in the background. With this being a steampunky kind of page, just add the charcoal as kind of like a shadow around the blocks, and then if I want to intensify it, I can go in with a black pen just to add some more definition. But this also colours the paper, which kind of blends it into the background as well. Because it's a kind of grungy page, it kind of works. So also add some shading around those circles. All helps to unify. So creating a kind of drop shadowy effect helps it just pop a little bit from the background. You can see that darkness around the edge. Now, recently I did see somebody using charcoal pencils like this with one of those paper stump things to kind of blend. But I kind of like doing this with my finger. I feel like I've got a little bit more control. I'm going to go all the way around, just darkening where I think it needs it the most. Okay, so black pen. Like I said, we can add additional darkness just around the boxes. Just to make it pop a little bit extra. Because it is a kind of steampunky page, it's okay to add in a little bit of squiggle. And then you can add some darker bits. Now, I did say I didn't manage to be able to do those propellers. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm just going to try and draw in my own version, but just in black. And I might just add a little bit of a highlight once it's dry. So you should just be able to see it. And of course, I can use a little bit of artistic license by just making them a bit bigger than they would be normally. So that's just using that pen. If it's not dark enough, I can always go back a bit later, maybe extend them, make them a bit bigger. Once the pen's dry. So just add in a little bit more detail there. Okay, so put those charcoal pencils away. There is a white one in here as well, so I could just line it up if I wanted to, but I don't want to. He says adding some highlights. Maybe anti-highlight, anti-drop shadows. Kind of turn them into almost like bubble effects. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked now. So one of the other things that I wanted just to introduce a little bit more white into the foreground. So I'm just going to bring in my mat, add a little bit of white paint, a little bit of water, get it mixed up, and then just add a few light splatters. Just like that. Okay. And I think I'm happy with that now, so I just need to quickly get it dry. The little white splatters are now all dry on the page, and I'm sat looking at it thinking it does definitely need some kind of frame or border. Now I've just experimented with some holding up some washi tape to maybe create a washi tape border all the way around the page. but they're too busy. All of the washi tapes that I've got are far too busy. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to do a border. Maybe not using that pen this time. Maybe actually using the football pen. So this is the 1.5. I think that might help. So I'm just going to do a scribbly kind of border just all the way around, just 2 or 3 lines. Okay, so that's there. Don't have to get that creative with borders, as long as there's something just to kind of finish it off. It really does kind of just help to seal the deal, as it were. And then once you've got your border in, you can then go back, if you like, and just add, thank you Mr. Bentley, just like a few embellishments.
Would anybody like to buy a dog? 2 careful owners. He's got his tennis ball in his mouth.
Yes, on the bed.
Yeah. Well, you go then.
Who would have a dog, eh? Bet you didn't know Ian was sat there, did you? It's been very quiet.
Makes a change.
And there, I think I'm going to call that page done. Just the addition of that black border all around the page just kind of helps to seal the deal, as I said.
I think she's fantastic.
She's a great image, isn't she? And all, like I said before, all the collage images, I've put that together on the computer.
Yeah.
So the clock was separate, she was separate, the wings were separate, the hat was separate, and I've just made them all up.
What's the paper?
What paper?
The book, is it? It's your...
This is the Dina Wakely multi-surface journal.
Ah, and which page is it? Is it the...
It's a cotton, just a plain white cotton page.
That looks lovely. This is a fab journal.
It is.
I bought you that.
You did. You bought me this for Valentine's Day. Not this year, but last year.
1827.
Yeah, 1827. Facetious. Right, just finish that off. So all I'm going to do is just sign it and date it, because I did it sometime in March, and I'm going to call this page done. I hope you've enjoyed that and it's not been overly long. If you have, please remember to give it a thumbs up and share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, like I said at the beginning of the video, you can do so by clicking the button at the end.
I'm giving it a thumbs up too.
More than one thumbs up.
Because I like it.
Yeah, fair enough. It's all from me and him and Mr. B. See you again very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. Thank you.